Now I'm going to explain to you about the answering technique for the case study with a sample of question. Now this is the sample of question. First of all, when you get a question, you have to read the question carefully, thoroughly, and find any clues that lead you to the law which is relevant to solve the problem in the question. Right, let us begin by reading the question thoroughly. Alia has succeeded in winning a Myvi after sending in 5 wrappers of Choco Chocolate as well as giving a slogan required in the advertisement. However, the sponsoring party now refused to give away the prize to her. Advise Alia. So this is the question. Now you have to find what is the problem arise in the question and what is the law which can solve the problem here. First of all, Alia has succeeded, meaning that there is already a contract between Alia and the sponsoring party, where she has been selected as the winner for the contest. And then, this contest was organized through an advertisement by the sponsoring party, where in the advertisement, it was mentioned that the contestant or the participant must send 5 wrappers of Choco Chocolate as well as giving a slogan required in order to win a Myvi. So, by looking at this question, the main clue about this question is the advertisement. The problem is the sponsoring party now refused to give away the prize to her. So, there is a problem here where in this situation, there is a question whether Alia entitled or not to the prize which has been promised by the sponsoring party, or whether the sponsoring party now liable to give away the prize to her under a contract. So this is the problem which arises in this question. Now, as we know that there are 4 essentials for you to find out in order to answer a case study. First, you have to find the issues. Second, law and authorities. Third, application. And fourth, conclusion. Now, as for the issues, you have to find out the problems arise. As we know just now that in the question, the problem is the sponsoring party refused to give away the prize to Alia, even though Alia already selected as the winner for the Myvi. So there is a problem here, whether Alia has the right or not upon the prize, that is the Myvi. And then you have to find out the relevant main law related to the problems in the question. So the main law here can be found by finding the clues to the main law in the question. So what are the clues? Or what is the clue which lead you to the law? Now, from the question, we can see that the obvious clue in the question is the advertisement. You have learned about advertisement under the topic of offer, where you have to distinguish between an offer and invitation to trade. Advertisement is one of the invitation to trade. This is the clue which lead you to the main law. That is, we want to determine whether the advertisement made by the sponsoring party is an offer or an invitation to trade. So that is the main issue here, the main law which relevant to the question. So by using the main law and the highlighted problem, you have to start your sentence with whether, because you have to raise the issue. You have to raise the question whether Alia has the right upon the prize which has been promised by the sponsoring party, or whether the sponsoring party is bound to give away the prize to Alia, or whether there is a contract. The main idea is that whether the advertisement made by the sponsoring party is an invitation to trade or an offer, because we want to know when is the actual time offer take place and who was making the offer and who was making the acceptance in the question, in the problem arise. Okay, so this is the suggested issues. First issue is that whether the advertisement by the sponsoring party is an offer or an invitation to trade. So for this issue, you emphasize on the word advertisement. So for the advertisement, we have learned this under the topic of offer, which is distinguished from invitation to trade. We have to determine whether that advertisement is an offer or ITT. So that's why your issue can be written as this: whether the advertisement by the sponsoring party is an offer or an invitation to trade, because we want to determine the advertisement by the sponsoring party is an offer or an invitation to trade. And second issue is that whether Alia was making an offer or an acceptance when fulfilling the conditions required by the advertisement. Since Alia has fulfilled the requirement of the advertisement, so we want to determine whether Alia was making an offer or an acceptance. And the third issue is that whether there is a binding contract between Alia and the sponsoring party when Alia has satisfied the conditions of the general offer in the advertisement. And finally, whether the sponsoring party is bound under a contract to give away the prize to Alia, since in the question it was stated that Alia has succeeded in winning the Myvi. So these are the issues which is suggested for you to write. And this is how you write the issue. You start your sentence with whether, and you emphasize on the main clue, that is the word advertisement, and emphasize on the law, whether the advertisement is an offer or an invitation to trade, and so on, whether Alia was making an offer or an acceptance, and whether Alia has satisfied the conditions of the general offer, because the advertisement may become a general offer if the advertisement comes together with another promise, that is the Myvi. Okay, next step is that the law and authorities. Under this component, you have to explain all the main law which is related to the issues which has been raised out. Okay, of course, you have to define what is an offer, and you have to define what is an invitation to trade and what is an acceptance, because we want to determine who is the offeror and who is the offeree, and when is the actual time the contract happened. And then you have to explain in detail everything related to the main law concern, meaning you have to explain in detail about the law relating to advertisement. You have to explain the general rule relating to the advertisement, which is an ITT, until the exception where the advertisement may become a general offer, when the advertisement come together with another promise. So, by virtue of this, you have to explain all the legal points, all the conditions, and the exceptions, if any, and you have to give all the relevant sections, if any, and also the cases. So, this is the example of the answer scheme for the law and authorities. For this part, you have to give all the relevant laws, sections, cases that are relevant to the main issues given above. Of course, you have to define what is an offer, and then you have to define the acceptance, ITT, and then you have to list out the 5 examples of ITT. In terms of the list out here, means that you only have to give the list, no need to explain, right? But in terms of the advertisement, so you have to explain in detail. You have to explain all the rule as to the advertisement. In terms of the advertisement, generally is an invitation to trade, and then the seller or the advertiser is only making an invitation to trade. The buyer or any person who respond to the advertisement is the offeror, and then the seller will accept. So once the seller accept, there is a binding contract. All this you need to explain. So if there is no acceptance from the seller, then therefore there is no contract. And then you have to give the 2 example of cases. You have to explain in detail about these cases. All these available in the textbook, right? The facts of the case, the help, everything you must give in detail. And then lastly, you have to explain the exception to the advertisement, where the advertisement may become a general offer, right? Because not all advertisement is ITT. The advertisement may become a general offer if it comes with another promise. And you have to explain in detail the case of Carlin versus Carbolit Smoke Ball Company. So all these you need to explain for the law and authorities. You have to explain in detail. Alright, for the third step is that the application. Application means that you have to solve the problem in the question. So the technique is you have to answer the issues which you have given above. You have to give the solutions or your decisions with legal reasons. That is, your solutions must be based on the law, sections, or cases which were cited in your law and authorities above. So this is the example of the application. Right? You may write your application like this, or you may write it in the form of paragraph, step by step, answering the issues which you have listed out above. Okay, so in answering the issues, let us have a look at the issues first, which we have listed out. First is that whether the advertisement by the sponsoring party is an offer or an invitation to trade. Second, whether Alia was making an offer or an acceptance when fulfilling the conditions required by the advertisement. And third, whether there is a binding contract between Alia and the sponsoring party when Alia has satisfied the conditions of the general offer in the advertisement. And finally, whether the sponsoring party is bound or not under the contract to give away the prize to Alia. So these are the issues which you have given earlier. So now, for the application, you answer the issues step by step. So this is the example of answering or making the application. The advertisement made by the sponsoring party was a general offer, not an invitation to trade. So this is your decision. This is your judgment or your solutions. Okay, you decide that the advertisement was a general offer, not an invitation to trade. Why? Because the advertisement came with a promise, that is to give a myvi for the winner. So the law is whenever an advertisement comes with a promise, it becomes a general offer. So this is with reference to the case of Khalil versus Carbolit Smoke Ball Company. At this point of application, you no need to explain in detail about the case of Khalil Kabli. You just mention the name of the case, which give the decision saying that if the advertisement comes with a promise, then it becomes a general offer. Okay? And then you answer the second issue saying that when Alia submitted the wrappers of Choco Chocolate and giving the required slogan, Alia was making an acceptance to that general offer. Once Alia had fulfilled the requirements of the general offer and being selected as the winner, Alia is considered as the acceptor to the general offer made by that sponsoring party. So because Alia here is responding to the general offer, therefore, the sponsoring party was bound to the contract with Alia when she was selected as the winner. So they are bound to give away the myvi to Alia. So these are in accordance with the case of Kali versus Kabli Smoke Ball Company. Therefore, if the sponsoring party refused to give away the prize to Alia, Alia can sue the sponsoring party for breach of contract because there is already a binding contract between Alia and the sponsoring party. So this is the application where you make the solutions, where you make the decisions for the problems in the question. And then you give the reasons for such decision, legal reason. So this is the example, the reason saying that the advertisement is a general offer because it came with a promise. And this is by virtue, okay, or with reference to the case of Khalil versus Kablit Smoke Ball. This case was cited in your law and authorities before this, right? So this is the way how to make the application. Finally, you have to make a conclusion for your answer. For this, you only have to summarize the law that relevant, which is concise and concrete. So this is the example of a conclusion. 2 or 3 sentences would be sufficient. For this conclusion, you emphasize on the law which has been discussed in your answer. An advertisement is only an invitation to trade. However, if the advertisement comes together with another promise, the advertisement becomes a general offer. The person whom responded or fulfilled the conditions or requirements of that general offer is considered as the valid offeree or acceptor, and thus the contract is binding. So this is the conclusion about the whole law relating to the question. Okay, thank you.